I'm being told that we've gone too long. My wife is watching a movie about foster children now.
Oh,
it's all my
boy.
fault. I quote, to feel shame. Hello, and welcome to episode 46 of the Casual Tryhard Podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm James.
And we have no bands this week.
No bands! Woo!
Eldraine is now on its third iteration, and it's going to stay there at least for another week.
Yep. No bands in Pioneer, too. We might as well throw that in there now. The format that they decided they were going to do bands every weekend. We've now had 2 weeks with no bands.
It's craziness.
Kind of tells me the format might be in a decent place, right?
Maybe.
Ish.
Yeah. Since we're kind of in a lull,
Mm-hmm.
and based on our PTQ attendance, there might not be a ton of interest in Standard currently.
Well, I mean, you showed up tonight with an interesting tidbit that we can probably talk about in a little bit. Yeah.
So we're going to start on our, probably long series on playing Magic and paper.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot to talk about here, so don't get confused if we jump around a little bit. We're going to try and keep it organized, but I'm sure we're going to miss things and going to want to go back. So
we're going to try to walk you through all the stuff to get you from Arena to, competent player at your store.
Yep.
Right. So if you have any ideas for shows or whatnot here, especially in end of November, beginning of December, when Magic really takes a lull.
Yeah, we're not going to get show ideas from Wizards for about 4 weeks because they're going to close down.
Yeah.
And we've got some stuff that we'd like to talk about, but if you guys got anything that you want to hear about, now's the time.
Yep. So tweet at us at Casual Tripod.
Yep. You can find us on Facebook at Casual Tryhard MTG, or you can email us at show@casualtryhardmtg.com.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is the PTQ that we went to this weekend in Columbia.
Yeah, it was kind of a last-minute decision to make a trip and go.
Yeah, it was go play Pioneer for the chance of winning 4 of cards that I already have 4 of.
There were also 4 of cards that I already had 4 of.
Or go try to spike a tournament and get a Pro Tour invite.
Yep. I would almost all the time rather play in a tournament for something than a tournament for nothing.
Yeah.
So.
And not that 4 J-Spins Prodigies are nothing, but
right.
There's not a Pro Tour invite.
No, it is certainly not.
They always say to spend your money on experiences, and that would be an experience
True.
that we did not have.
Yep.
Right? So you, me, and our friend Greg, who's been on the Pro Tour a few times, piled in a car and drove 2.5 hours.
We sure did.
And showed up to a 30-person PTQ.
Yeah.
Which is the dream.
Oh, honestly, 100%, yeah.
Honestly, if you're showing up, the dream is to show up to a 30-person PTQ.
Yeah, this PTQ kind of broke oddly, too. I don't know if you recognized a ton of players there.
No, only a handful.
There were some really good players there that, disappeared after round 2. So I don't know if they just didn't perform and left or what.
Yeah, it got small, and I think it got down to, probably 22 players after the first few rounds. I know apparently my round 2 opponent, round 1 opponent, I was talking about him afterwards, and Greg was like, oh yeah, he top 8'd an SCG Open.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
The guy that I played round 2 has been on the Pro Tour before. The
guy that I played round 2 on, he was on Strosky Pile, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Yep.
He had the Pro Tour Richmond mat. So I think he also had been on the Pro Tour quite recently.
Yep. And there was another guy, I don't know if you saw him or not or recognized him, but he had a red hat on. I've played him at a couple RBTQs before, so he's been around the block once or twice too.
Yeah. And then there was another side of the tournament that was the F&M bracket.
Yeah.
That was a lot of people that weren't as experienced.
Right.
And so they had some mixed results. We'll talk about that in a sec.
Yeah. Varied widely.
Yes. So what did you decide to play in our third iteration of Throne of Eldraine Standard?
I wanted to play Jund Cat Oven, Jund Sack, but I did not want to play Mayhem Devil Mirrors, so I decided not to play that deck. Because I don't think those mirrors are very skill intensive.
Is who sticks Mayhem Devil first?
Yeah, they're basically just who sticks Mayhem Devil first. So I decided to not play that, and I played red-black aggro, like the Rotting Regisaur Embercleave list.
Yeah.
I had some pretty good luck with it. I was happy with my deck choice. I didn't do fantastic, but I didn't do bad. Like one more win, and I would have top-8'd. I went 3-2.
Yeah.
Had a couple unlucky top decks. My top deck cooperated very nicely for one of my opponents.
Yes.
They got to steal my drill bit and crush me.
Yeah, so his opponent played Robber of the Rich.
Yeah.
And then got to take your drill bit,
Yeah.
play your drill bit, and take your Embercleave, was it? That was going to kill him next
Regisaur.
turn? Your Regisaur?
Yeah. He was playing mono red. Has 0 answers to Regisaur. Has 4 answers to Spawn of Mayhem. Had both in hand with a couple lands and took the Regisaur and
had the answer to the
spawn.
Spawn.
Had the answer to the Spawn, yeah. So it was rough.
Yeah. I played Jeskai Fires.
Mm-hmm. The Cavalier version.
The Cavalier version, but it's the deck that, or similar deck to what Gregor Kowalski played to 9th at the Pro Tour. So instead of being the full 8 Cavaliers, it's 4 Cavalier of Flame, 2 Cavalier of Gales, 2 Kenrith, the Return King, and then 4 Fae of Wishes. So you have the Wish board that like the Planeswalker version of the deck has, but you also have what just feels like a more proactive plan of like slam a hasty 5/6.
Yeah, indent them.
Yeah, it's more proactive than like slam a Sarkhan, make a 4/4. It's like, cool, I'll slam 11 points of power, give it haste, and try to kill you.
Well, that kind of goes back to something that the Arena Decklist podcast said last week, right? About how you have to end games in this format.
Yeah, because if people hang around too long, they usually accrue too much value.
Right.
And the deck does just end games. You can just kind of like the games go long, but you can get to a point where you're just like, okay, if I get to untap, doesn't matter what they do, they die.
Right. That's kind of why I played the red-black deck, because Embercleave just like ends games. Like if you can't do something meaningful by like turn 4 or 5, like you're dead.
Yeah. So I went 4-1. In a 30-person tournament, if you haven't played a lot of like Swiss small tournaments, so a 5-round tournament, going 3-0 means you get to double draw into top 8. 3-0-2 in a 5-round tournament is guaranteed top 8.
Yep.
And I went win-loss, so then I went to 3-1, and 3-1-1 should have been able to draw into top 8.
But the way the math broke, it was
But the way the math broke, because 2 guys that drove together decided to draw round 2.
Right.
So there were more draws in the tournament than there should have been. And so I had to play your mono red player for my winning in.
Well, I'm glad you got him.
I died on turn 4 in the first game.
Yeah.
And I won the second game because he missed 2 triggers. And Greg was like, oh, no, you weren't dead. I was like, oh, no, I was 100% dead if he gets his triggers. So he played the aforementioned Robber of the Rich with a board of Fervent Champion, Runaway Steamkin. And I was at 8. And he plays them all, puts his counter on a Steamkin to make it a 3/3, attacks, and goes, how many cards are in your hand? I said, 3. How many cards are in your hand? He said, 3. I said, okay. So Robber of the Rich doesn't do anything.
Right.
And then I was like, I blocked. And then he went, oh.
Well, you said go to blocks.
I said, like, go to blocks or something. Like, I was like, go to blocks. Like, I gave him, like, because I honestly didn't even process that he missed the trigger because he didn't say anything. And then he was like, I blocked. And he was like, oh, I missed my triggers. And I was like, yes, you did.
Yep.
And then I was like, I really thought about, like, I'm just dead here. Just put him on the stack. But I was like, Judge, this is what happened. He just misses these triggers, right? And the judge was like, yep. It's like, okay. And he plays Rimrock Knight to kill my Kenrith to put me to 4.
Yeah.
And that Rimrock Knight with 2 more damage from the
Fervent Champions
was lethal.
Yeah.
And I then, like, time wiped him, played something else, and then gained a bunch of life.
Yeah.
I ended that game at, like, 17.
Yeah.
So, and then the next game, more of the same. I was able to, like, stick 2 Cavaliers, gain a bunch of life, and it was fine. But it was, I was fortunate there.
Yep.
And I was happy with my deck choice. It played out fine. There was a bunch of fires in the room. I played against the Planeswalker version twice and felt like I was kind of advantaged where like they had like Narsets in their deck that were just trying to dig them to one of their Sarkans. I had like 8 ways to dead them plus 4 ways to go get whatever something I needed to dead them.
Yeah.
And I was happy with my deck choice except for when I got in the car to go to the event because Greg was on Simic Flash, which I can never beat.
Yeah.
In a million years.
Yeah. Good news for him was there was a lot of fires in the room.
Yes.
Bad news for me is there were not a lot of Jund decks in the room.
Yeah, there was like one Mayhem Devil in the room.
Yeah. There was, I think there was one Jund list and one red-black list.
Yeah. So I ended up going 4-1. I beat Fires twice, Mono Red miraculously once, and Bant Ramp. Just jumping with your lands to save your Nissa is not a good idea.
No.
Like,
it leaves you with no lands pretty quickly.
He was down to 3 lands, and I went Granted, Casualty of War, blow up a land, a creature, and your Nissa.
Yeah.
And did not concede.
Played a double Stone Rained him and killed his Nissa.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Played a Paradise Druid, and then I was like, attack you for all the damage. That got the concession.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Greg and I were the 1 and 2 seeds, so we were thankfully on the opposite side of the bracket.
Yep.
So
it means you don't have to play each other.
We'd have to play each other
right
until the finals if we got there.
Yep. And also it means the top half of the bracket gets to pick whether they're on the play or the draw for top 8.
Yeah, so I was on the play throughout. I did not hold up my end of the bracket of getting to the finals, though. So I played... My first round of top 8 was against Green-Black Food. Ish.
Yeah.
So this gentleman had never played in a Magic tournament before, and he top 8'd a PTQ.
Yeah. Made me feel real good about myself.
He was playing Draft All-Star Bake into a Pie.
He was.
Like, he legitimately baked a Cavalier into a pie, and I was like, oh.
And then let his wolf eat it.
Yeah.
Yep. He was playing the Gluttonous Troll, the Brawl deck card.
And apparently there were Feasting Troll King somewhere in his list that I never saw.
Feasting Troll King.
He was so new that I had to call a judge to have the judge explain to him what cards were permanents.
Right.
Because he had Trail of Crumbs, and you pay 1, and you can reveal a permanent. And he paid his 1, and he showed a Bake into a Pie. And I was like, you can only get permanent. He's like, you can only get permanents with that. He was like, okay, I'm getting Bake into a Pie. I'm like, that's an instant. It's not a permanent. I was like, Judge. And the judge came over, and I was like, I explained what happened. I said, my opponent is unclear on what a permanent is. Could you please explain to him what types of cards are permanents?
Yep.
So, like an enchantment? He's like, yes. So he then showed his Trail of Crumbs.
Okay.
And I think I had like 2 or 3 judge calls for various things.
Yeah, and I know, like, I try not to butt in, like, during other people's matches, especially during top 8. I probably should have just called a judge, but there was a couple times where, like, he missed the 2 life from his Swift on.
Oh, yeah, like multiple times, yeah. But, like, don't be afraid to call a judge. Most of the time it's just, like, clarifying something.
Yeah.
And then top 4, I played against Green Black Adventures, and you watched that game. I slammed a turn 4 fires with, like, some cards, and then I don't think I drew, like, 1 spell the rest of the game.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, I just didn't draw any, like, 8 cards in my deck, like, draw multiple cards, and I saw none of them.
Yep. And that was against my round 4 opponent, I believe.
Yeah.
Or round 3 opponent.
Yeah, and it was game 1, then game 2 I won, and then game 3 I mulliganed to... I kept a 6 that looked just like my 7, but did not think I could realistically win on 5.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to draw like 4 Teferis and no Deafening Clarions.
Right.
It was rough. I was like nowhere near in that game.
Yeah. It was pretty rough.
Yeah.
It was rough to watch.
Yeah, because I just couldn't do it. There was nothing I could do. Like, it wasn't... I think, like, there wasn't, like, I, like, made any, I think, egregious plays in those games. It was just, like, my deck just did not cooperate with me, which, happened.
It does.
And then Greg, we'll say smushed, a Grixis Fires player that he played in the Swiss.
Yep.
Took 0% to beat blue-green Flash.
Correct.
And then... What did he play in the semis?
That was the semis.
Was the Grixis
The Grixis
Fires?
was the semis. He played Jeskai Flayers in the top 8.
Oh, God. So he just played, like...
His dream matchups.
Yeah, so he would, if I would have won, he would have just, like, smushed Fires 3 times in a row.
Yep.
And then he ended up winning the whole thing.
Yep. Congrats, Greg. Good luck in Phoenix.
Yeah, his matchup against Black-Green is fine.
Better than yours is.
Yeah,
well, better than your deck when it's not cooperating.
Yeah, like I think like 6 main board sweepers against like the 1/1 deck is fine, but I just draw them. So these things happen. Yep. But no, it was pretty all right. So I was, I guess, technically third, and Greg was first. So not bad for the car.
Not bad at all.
And I couldn't be too upset because I knew that if I made it to the finals, I was 0% to win.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was like, oh, super close. It was like, no, I was going to lose the finals regardless.
Yeah, I was a little bummed I didn't do any better, and I was a little bummed that like nobody was there on cat food. Like if I know nobody was playing cat food, I would have played cat food.
Yeah.
Like I'm competent with the deck. That's my kind of deck. I just didn't want to play the mirror all day.
Yeah.
So that was kind of awkward.
I think that a lot of people did what I did, which was what is the most powerful thing you can be doing in current standard?
Yeah.
And that is like just playing 2 5-mana spells for free. Mm-hmm. And so they just went and did that as opposed to like just try to go over the top of people. Like, so I think that's why a lot of people avoided the sacrifice decks. Mm-hmm. Is just like, oh, I can just like play a Fires and it doesn't matter that they like can ping me for 3 this turn. Yeah. So I think that was probably part of it. It's just because it was a new format.
Could be.
Right? Maybe in 3 weeks there's more of the food decks.
Yeah. Well, I think there will be. I think that's probably like best deck in air quotes in the format, or one of them.
So right after the Pro Tour, Andrea Mengucci sent out a tweet that was a picture of both he and his opponent starting the game on Arena with Leyline of the Void in play. Yep. Today, or yesterday, Martin Yuza sent out a tweet with he and his opponent both starting the game with Leyline of the Void in play. Yeah. So cats are real good.
Cats are real good.
So, like, that's where we are, is people are bringing in Leyline to shut off cat. Yep. Because that's, like, the only...
it doesn't really stop anything else in the format right now.
Well, blue-green pile, which we will talk about. Yeah. I guess now, before we go on to, like, the new play stuff or how to play, we'll take a brief second to talk about, like, standard decks.
Sure.
We can do that now and then kind of have that section all together for you guys.
All right.
So the new internet hotness is a list by Andrei Strasky. I tweeted out the Simic list, and I also tweeted out the blue-green list. Yeah. And basically, it's the Great Henge deck. And so you're playing the 2 cheapest creatures with the most power you can. In blue and green. Yeah. So you're playing Vantress Gargoyle, which is the 1 in the blue 5/4 flyer that can't block unless you have 4 cards in your hand and can't attack.
Unless your opponent has 7 cards in the graveyard.
And you can tap it for each player to mill a card. And you play Lovestruck Beast.
Right, which is a 3-mana 5/5.
Yeah, that can, for 1 mana, make a 1/1 on its adventure.
Yep.
And that makes the Great Henge cost 4. Yep. So the Great Henge is 7 green for a legendary artifact that costs X less to cast, where X
is the greatest power among creatures you control.
Yeah. So if you have a 5/5, it costs 5 less. So it costs 2 green. Yep. And it taps for green, and you gain 2 life. And whenever a creature comes into play,
you draw a card and you put a counter on that creature?
Yes. Is important to note is when it comes into play, not cast. And it's non-token. Yeah. So, this deck relies on those 2 cards to power out the Great Henge. Yep. has Edgewall Innkeeper, which pairs nicely with Luckstruck Beast.
Yep. It also runs another adventure card we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah, Merfolk Secret Keeper.
Yeah.
So you need a way to turn on your Ventress Paladins.
Right.
So you can Merfolk Secret Keeper them to kind of turbo their graveyard. Mm-hmm. So then you can start just bashing with 5/4s.
Yep. End the game very quickly.
Yes. And again, Merfolk Secret Keeper, you can cast it to draw a card with Innkeeper. So you have this little, and you have Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
So you have this 16-card adventure package, and then you have your 12-card Great Henge package.
Right. And they kind of both work well together?
And then there's a little bit of disruption in 2 Disdainful Strokes. Mm-hmm. There are 2 random artifacts in Golden Eggs. Mm-hmm. And then you have this kind of other thing going on, which is you have 3 Emerys. Mm-hmm. So Emery finds you Great Henges.
Or Ventress
Gargoyles. And let you...
cast them from the graveyard.
Yeah, and lets you cycle eggs. Play an egg, draw 3 life. So it's 4 mana, draw a card, gain 3 life.
Yep.
So you have that little engine, and you also have Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, and Tameo. It's 2 Jaces and a Tameo is the current build.
Okay.
And that gives you the back door to, wow, my great, everything is just a mess.
Yeah.
No one can ever attack.
Mill myself, win the game.
So you've got these 3 different you've got this Edgewall Innkeeper thing where you can just bury your opponent.
Right.
You've got this Ventress Gargoyle tempo game where you can just stick a 5/4, mill them twice, kill them.
Yeah.
That also, and then you have this Great Henge thing where again you just grind them to dust.
Right.
And so it's just all these moving parts, and they come together to a pretty reasonable deck. Mm-hmm. Merfolk Secret Keeper is not a standard playable Magic card. That is the one hole in the deck where you're just this is not good.
Yeah.
But
there was something better.
I wish there was something better. But that kind of pulls the whole thing together. You can mill yourself, because with Emery comes in and mills yourself for 4.
Yep.
But she needs cards in your graveyard.
Right.
So you can sometimes you decide to mill yourself so she has more food to bring stuff back. If you're I need a Great Henge, you mill yourself and you effectively have drawn 4 cards to try to find a Great Henge.
Yeah.
So it fills 2 roles. You can turn on your Gargoyle when you have the Gargoyle draw, or it can turn on your Emery.
When you have the Emery draw.
No, I haven't played enough with it to know
when you're supposed to do what.
Yeah, which one's the A plan. If you have a Merfolk Secret Keeper and you don't have either of those, do you mill that hand? Or do you mulligan that hand, or do you just jam? And then for a while he's playing a Sultai list that took out the eggs in the Disdainful Strokes. There's also 2 Gilded Goose in there.
Yeah.
Because why not? It's a green.
Well, yeah, I mean you got to.
You got to. Hey, it makes your Emerys 1 cheaper.
That's right.
But he was playing a Sultai list that was 3 cats, 3 ovens.
Yeah.
Take out the Golden Eggs, the Disdainful Strokes, adjacent something else, and then you just have the cat oven thing in your deck as well. So you have Gilded Goose to make food, so you can an oven to make food, so you can mill over your cats.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have black mana, if you have an oven,
you can bring them back.
Yeah. Also, Merfolk Secret Keeper has 4 toughness.
It does.
Which means if you throw it in the oven, you get how many food?
2.
You get 2 food.
Yeah.
James found out that card makes 2 food if you have 4 toughness.
I've been casting that card for a long time now. I had no idea.
There's a lot of text on that card.
I don't think I'd ever read that line.
Yeah, so I had an opponent, they played Ethereal Absolution.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of food out. So I just looped my cat.
Yeah.
And killed them. They were at 5, and I was okay, my cat dies every turn it comes in, but I'm just going to
bring it back
because I don't have to sack it to anything. You just kill it. So that deck is interesting. The mana is awful. It has 6 black sources. It just doesn't feel like the mana is right. You get a lot of spots where you can't cast stuff.
Well, like you said, though, you don't really need to cast the cat.
You don't.
If you can find a way to get it in your graveyard, you don't really need black mana.
Yeah. But it felt awkward.
Yeah.
But the thing that I found most interesting was the cat Great Henge interaction.
Yeah.
Where Great Henge sends when it comes into play, not cast.
Right.
So when you sacrifice your food to get your cat back, you put a +1/+1 counter on the cat and you draw a card. And that is pretty all right.
Yeah, so your Witch's Oven reads tap, sacrifice a creature, draw a card, drain your opponent for 1.
Yeah.
Make a 2/2.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
Yeah.
So I started kicking around just like a green blacklist.
Mm-hmm. I kind of dig it. I might have to brew something up.
I'm not there. It's not there yet. But the idea was...
Well, you could kind of squish it in with the adventure package, right?
That's what I was trying to do.
You could do like Lovestruck Beast, Edgewall Innkeeper.
So I had Lovestruck Beast, Edgewall Innkeeper, Murderous Rider, because I didn't like the fact that the blue-green deck just didn't have any removal. You just like... Your way of winning the game was, I'm going to draw 15 more cards than you and just have enough bodies to go around anything that you do. Mm-hmm. So you had Lovestruck Beast, Murderous Rider... I'm
sure the deck wants Vraska.
Vraska was in there at some point. And then Cat Oven. Yeah. And then Reggie. Mm-hmm. Because Reggie makes the Great Henge cost 2.
Right.
So you can, like, Reggie the next turn, discard a card, go, like, Great Henge, still have 4 mana because it taps for 2. Mm-hmm. So it's effectively free when you have a Reggie.
Right.
And then just... play out a bunch of stuff and like refill your hand so you can keep feeding your dinosaur.
Right.
And then you just have the Abyss in dinosaur form.
Yeah.
Plus you're just drawing a bunch of extra cards.
There's no way to shoehorn Embercleave into that deck, is there?
I'm going to go with no. Like, I'm sure you can try to put like red in your like green, black.
Like that's kind of the problem with Reggie though, is that
he just gets chumped for days.
Yeah, he just gets chumped forever. So is there anything we can do to give him flying or trample or lifelink or something?
Flying dinosaurs. There's no dino catapult. I can't think of anything in like green to kind of give him evasion. There's not like a give him trample guy or anything. But like that deck I played a couple games with it last night and it was fine. It's something different, but there is you can chump Reggie forever.
Right.
But you do generate enough value from your other stuff that you get enough like things they have to chump.
Yeah.
Right? Like a turn where you're like, you go like Reggie into discard a card, Great Henge, cast Lovestruck Beast Adventure, cast a Lovestruck Beast. Now it's a 6/6.
Yeah.
And you drew you a card.
Oh, that's kind of awkward with... Oh, no, because it's non-token, right?
Non-token. So the one, so you still have the 1/1 from the...
Yeah.
You have less of them.
Right.
Right, but now you've got a 7/6 dinosaur and a 6/6 Lovestruck Beast.
Yeah.
They've got to chump block both. Mm-hmm. And you're just making these giant things. The blue-green deck's kind of advantage was, like, with Brazen Borrower, just getting to, like, flash in, like, a flying threat, which is also really good with like what's it called with the Great Henge. Like, hey, here's a 4/2 flyer.
Card.
So there are pros and cons. I threw together a list. Like I don't think it was right. I didn't have enough adventure creatures to make the Edgewall Innkeeper part work. But I think starting with Order of Midnight was the other adventure card I had.
Okay.
Had Order of Midnight.
At least it flies, but I think Foulmire Knight's better than.
It might be. There were some times that I wished I could go like Innkeeper into Foulmire, and I didn't have that. So like I had Midnight Rider in the deck, or Midnight Reaper, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Midnight guy.
I know what you meant.
And maybe that should just be Foulmire Knight because you don't.
I think so.
You're drawing cards from your cat and everything on the way in. You don't also need to draw cards on the way out.
Right.
And you can have them in the sideboard if you're playing against a Jeskai Fires kind of deck.
Yeah, something where you're worried about sweepers.
Yeah, where you just like bring those in and then like, that fixes your problem.
Yeah. Were you playing Goose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like turn 2 Reggie is okay in my book.
Oh yeah, A+ good time.
Yeah.
At that point, you don't care what you're sacrificing.
No, it's like, I'll discard this and you're going to spent some amount of mana.
Yeah.
To sacrifice that to my dinosaur, and I'd spent no mana to put this in the graveyard.
That's right.
Both of our cards are going to end up in the same place. Eventually, you're going to run out of cards. I think I had Vraska in the sideboard. I think I put Vraska in, but I was like, I think I just want to lean super hard into like the creature aspect of it. But yeah, like the deck there might be something. Also, like Gruul could also do something very similar where you're playing, where you still have the Lovestruck Beast.
Yeah.
But you also just have
Spellbreakers
and like you could play like
Beast.
Questing Beast and like Yorvo.
Yeah.
Like things that are just like generically big.
Yeah.
And you could also do kind of like the Gruul Adventures kind of thing where you have like Innkeeper and Rimrock Knight.
Yeah.
And
Rimrock Knight's cute with Great Henge too.
Yeah. And Stompy Guy.
Bone Crusher.
So you
Stompy Guy.
His front side is Stomp.
It is. Yeah, he stomps.
But you could do something like that where you're like red green and you still have access to like reasonable removal.
And you get to play
Embercleave. So you can kind of like do it all.
Yeah, I do kind of like that Cat Oven Great Henge interaction though. That's
it is really
something
good.
I think I want to play with.
It is really good. So that's the Sultai deck. I was just like, this is the best thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
I did I was playing like some unranked best of one, just like try to figure it out, and just ran into some like utter trash.
Yeah.
Like someone went like Chandra's Regulator into Little Chandra into Karn the Great Creator, down tick, get Grafdigger's Cage.
Oh.
And I was like, super. And then they also got like Spyglass. So they turned off my offense, put in a cage. I was like, this is not representative of anything that would ever happen. I still had a giant board. I lost to dual deck Planeswalker or dual deck Chandra. Activate Chandra's Regulator, deal 20 to me.
Ouch.
I was like,
good job, buddy.
I was like, I did not learn anything from this matchup other than I'm never going to play against this deck ever again.
That's right.
It was mono red.
Tribal Chandras.
It was mono red, but had four interplanar beacons, so they could cast the Royal Science.
Okay.
Saw no islands in the deck. All mountains the whole game, and the game went long. The Royal Science.
I
was like, oh.
Fantastic.
Okay. But yeah, so the new hotness is the Strosky deck. And again, this is the...
and you said that they've moved back to Simic, right?
He moved back to Simic. So yesterday he tweeted out, like, here's the sideboard guide to my favorite deck in the format. And I retweeted that.
Yep.
And then I proceeded to play on ladder, and I played like 4 mirrors in the course of... So I played Sultai Pile and Blue-Green Pile, because Strosky keeps referring to the deck as the Pile.
Right.
I played against Blue-Green Pile 3 times in 8 matches. So I played against it almost...
quite a bit.
Yeah,
almost half the time.
So this is this is Twitter magic now.
Yeah.
Right? Like...
That's the world we live in.
Yeah. If this is the best deck in the format, everyone now knows about it.
Right. Instantly.
Like little old me retweeted it, and Steve McGee was like, yeah, buddy. So Steve has it now. Right? Chuckles doesn't. Chuckles doesn't follow me on Twitter.
He should follow you on Twitter.
He should.
Chuckles is the one person that should follow you on Twitter.
That's right.
And he can ask all his sideways questions on Twitter instead of in person.
Yeah.
Hey. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think when should I buy Okos?
You should have bought them apparently pre-ban because they spiked post-ban.
Yep. Thanks, Chuckles.
Oh, my PTQ winnings had one of each Planeswalker in it.
They did? Mm-hmm. Nice.
This tournament also had a weird payout, just to circle back.
This store always has a weird payout.
It was only in packs.
Yeah.
So the top 4 split, and we effectively got a box each after some finagling.
Minus 1 pack.
So I gave them $4 American to just give me a sealed box.
Yeah. I
got 5 mythics out of it, but
nice.
But yeah, it was all the Planeswalkers, so that was good. So I have an extra Oko. I was just opening them with my wife, and I was like, oh, this card's banned. A little while later, once upon a time, this card's banned.
Yeah.
It's like they made mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a little good.
Yeah. So
good luck in Phoenix, Greg.
Yes, good luck.
If you guys got any sweet standard decks you want us to take a peek at, send them to us.
We had someone send us a deck, and we worked through it with him a little bit. I was like, more black sources, more black sources. But going back to the tournament real quick. So my opponent, we that didn't know what a permanent was. We kind of chuckled a little bit, right? But he left his house and went and played in a tournament and top 8'd it. Mm-hmm. This is not something you should expect.
Right.
But if you don't go to the tournament,
you can't win.
You don't have a chance to like top 8.
Yep.
Right. So, he took that step to like play in his first event, and he showed up with like a home brew and beat a bunch of people that have podcasts and stuff.
He showed up with a bunch of cards that he owned.
Yes. Yep. It was black-green cards I got from drafts. And
basically, yeah. In addition was a Gluttonous Troll that he did not draft.
And cards I got from a duel deck.
Yeah. Brawl deck.
A brawl deck. I brought the Corvald brawl deck. I decided not to play the Corvald. But this troll, I'm in.
Yep.
Gluttonous Troll is 2 black-green for a 3/3. When it comes into play, you make a food equal to the number of opponents you have.
Correct.
You have to make 1 food.
You have to make 1
and
food.
then 1 on a green?
Yep.
Sacrifice a non-land permanent or just permanent?
I thought it was food.
I think it's permanent.
Okay.
And
gets +2/+2 till end of turn.
Yeah.
And it has trample.
It has trample.
Yep.
So it's a 3/3 that gets trample. That gets to be a little bit bigger if you feed it a bunch of mana.
Yep.
So, but yeah, you need to get out in the world and play. And so our next section.
Yeah.
In the business, they call that a segue. You see that? You like that? It's good.
Very nice.
It's good. We've been doing this almost for a year now.
Almost.
It's
like 46 weeks.
Yeah, 46 weeks. We are going to talk about how to get you from arena to a tournament kind of this week. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to start breaking down how you interact with your opponent once you're at the tournament.
Yep.
Right? So when we first got the suggestion, it was just like, we're like, oh, yeah, we can talk about like communication through like a turn. And then
we kind of realized there was a lot more to it than that.
And then it was like, oh, wait, like what do they need to like actually be sitting and having that turn?
Right.
Right. So we wanted to start clear back at the beginning.
Yeah, and some of this stuff was things that we noticed while we were at the GP. Mm-hmm. Saw a lot of people running around like crazy trying to get their act together before the tournament started, and we were both glad we weren't them.
Yes.
First things first is why should we play in paper? Like, why should we put pants on?
Because I'm too pretty to go to prison. That's why I put on pants every day. I can't send me to jail.
Okay, that was good.
I say in class, I'd be traded like currency. Want these cigarettes? I got a Wakefield for you.
No! Passed around.
Passed around, be rough.
I can pay you in cigarettes, ramen noodles, or Brian's.
Right, it's unwilling currency. Thank you.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I'm not big enough to put up a fight. Okay, so there's a few reasons. One, as people often point out, many people enjoy the gathering portion of Magic the Gathering.
There is certainly a social aspect of it.
And so you don't have the gathering in Arena.
Right.
Like, unless you can, build friendships and relationships with the 5 emotes that you have. And I have them muted, so...
Or with Sparky, the dummy robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best. Sure you are, Sparky.
Yeah,
sure
good
you
job.
are, buddy.
Way to roll over.
Roll over. Good AI, Sparky.
Yeah. Yeah, great job.
Better than Chandelar.
I thought Chandelar was great, man.
Chandelar AI
the AI is terrible. The game's great, though.
Yeah, it is. They need to update that thing. But, so there is the gathering aspect.
Yeah, there's a lot of friends, like you.
Yeah.
That you don't meet playing Arena. You meet them, at your FNM.
I think that that's part of the reason I didn't know anyone when I started playing. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend group that was Cameron. He moved here after college.
Yep.
And started playing, and that's how he got his friends.
Yep.
The oft-mentioned, yet to show up on the podcast, but one day, Anthony.
Yeah.
That's how he got his friend group, was when he moved from La Jolla, California to here, and he started playing Magic and asked me what do you think of my draft deck? And I tried to help him out with his draft deck, and that's how he got a friend group. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a way to especially if you're somewhere new.
Yeah.
or something. I mean, when you're old, it's hard to make friends.
It is. It's weird, right?
It is, right? Like when you were in school, there were just always people around.
Yeah.
Now you like go to work and you
can't wait to go home, and
you
then
tolerate
you get home
those people.
Yeah. And then there's your wife. Not that coming home to your wife is a problem, but there's a whole bunch of people out there.
Yeah, it's like, and now my social interactions are done.
Yeah.
Hey, wife, how's it going? I'm not going to meet anyone new today.
That's right.
Right. So there's that, and I think there's also, and I think we've talked about this before, I think there's still more prestige in doing well in paper.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
There's still the idea that really good players are really good in paper.
Right.
And because the client, we've talked about this before, the client does kind of hold your hand a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. My opponent would not have missed his 2 triggers
if
on
Arena did it for him.
Arena would have put him on the stack and I would have been dead.
Right.
Right. So I was fortunate, but that's a skill that you have to have. You have to be able to play a Robber the Rich, attack, announce all of your triggers,
make them happen,
yep. Do everything right, and then do all that stuff. Keep all that stuff straight in your head.
Yeah. There was a common, going back to the social part of it, there was a common thing a couple of years ago. I don't know how common it is anymore, but a lot of the Magic pros kind of cross-pollinated with poker pros.
Yes. So it was, my understanding was there was a bunch of people that played Magic.
Yeah.
And then poker blew up in the early to mid 2000s, and a lot of them walked away from Magic or
went to go play poker
or backburnered Magic because, as strange as it seems, a lot of the same skills that make you good at Magic make you good at poker. Right? You're reading signals in the unintended sent information.
Right.
From your opponent based on what they're doing. You're doing the math in your head of how likely is someone to have this card or that card, right? So all that stuff kind of translates. And in the mid to early 2000s, there was a lot more money in doing that, sitting at home and playing 85 tables of poker simultaneously than there was
playing Magic.
Yep. I mean, you may have heard of Eric Froelich.
Yep.
He has at least 1, if not 2, World Series of Poker bracelets.
David Williams.
It plays poker.
That's what he's known for, is playing poker, yeah.
And plays Magic. And
and does commentary now. And Yep.
So, yeah, there's a lot of those skills translate. So, if you play poker, it's the same kind of thing. The same kind of skills are going to translate.
Yep.
So we think that that paper is the way to play.
Yes,
100%. That is how we learned how to play in our back high school hallways or wherever you started.
Yep, that's how I would rather play. I kind of I do play a lot of Arena, but I kind of use that to hone my paper game instead of vice versa.
Yeah, it's more. I try to find decks on Arena and get good with them because you can never play as many games in paper as you do
with
digitally,
any digital client. Yeah.
Because, you've got to shuffle between games, not on your digital client.
Yep.
You've got to
wait for the round to end, wait for pairings.
You crack your Fabled Passage.
Yep.
It just shows you all your lands.
Yeah.
You click on it.
It shows you the lands you can get.
Yeah. It shows you all the lands you can get. You click on it. Click on it. It goes onto the battlefield. Your deck's shuffled.
Right.
Took 3 seconds.
Right. Takes a minute or two in paper.
Yeah. So it's just a faster thing. So I do the same thing. I'm I want to play this deck, or I want to see if this deck's good. I'm going to play it here.
Yep.
Because in 2 hours I can get 10 games in.
Yeah, you can play almost a full tournament, or what you would in paper, in a couple hours on Arena.
Yeah. That is what I use it for as well. I want to be good on Arena because that's going to translate to being good in paper.
Yep. I also like holding the cards. I enjoy my collection. I enjoy, going out and finding some of the weird cards.
Yeah.
I mean, I like touching them. I like to touch the cardboard.
I don't like organizing them. I have too many of them. But Yeah, there's that aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
It was like, finding the card you want for a particular deck or the particular printing.
Yep.
Or, we've talked about Magic Finance before.
Right.
You can't flip cards in Arena.
That is correct. It is impossible.
Right. So if there is an aspect of like getting to be smarter than everyone on like a particular card.
Yeah.
Or being able to like be right about a card and buy a bunch low, get rid of them high and get something better.
Something you wanted, some reserve list card, or in my old age, I have grown fond of the shinies.
Yes.
Never used to, but
so have I.
Yeah.
It's the red paperclip thing, right? From Craigslist.
Yeah.
Right? You're just trying to trade up to a card that's worth a house as opposed to an actual place to live.
Basically.
This Black Lotus cannot provide me shelter or nourishment, but here it is. One thing we don't have on here for things to do before you play is we got to figure out where you're going to play.
Oh, yeah.
So how do people find where to play? Like the easiest way is...
Please don't say Wizards' website.
I was going to say Wizards Event Finder.
That is not the easiest way. That website is trash.
I've used it before.
Yeah.
I've used it like when I go to like if I go to like a different town.
I've used it before also.
And I want to find a game. Basically, what this site does, there's layers of using it.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to use it is you go to like Wizards Event Finder and you like type in your zip code or your town or whatever and you set like a range and it's just going to list
all the stores in that range.
All the stores in that area.
Yeah.
Now, you want to get from Wizards website to not on Wizards website as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you need to leave there.
Now you have like
a list of
websites or at least store names.
Yeah.
And then you can go to those sites or find them. Most stores have a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. Almost all of them do.
Or a web page.
Yeah.
And then that's how you're going to get from... That's how you got to know where you can go.
Right.
Because once you're on those pages, pretty much universally somewhere they're going to have a list of events and you're going to see when they have tournaments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, like, that's the first thing is, like, you decided to put on pants. Where are you wearing these fancy pants?
Fancy pants.
Right? So, I think Wizards Event Recorder, or not Recorder,
that's a whole nother train wreck.
That's a whole nother train wreck. Wizards Event Finder, Event Locator is just going to give you a list of stores that like have Magic tournaments.
Yeah, one of the odd things about Wizards Event Finder, though, is that it doesn't necessarily rank the stores by distance or quality. It kind of ranks them by what's running time-wise. So it'll find the next closest event to you. Like if you're trying to find an F&M to go to and it's a Monday, you might end up with two stores that are running, Tuesday Night Modern before F&M, and it will list those two stores first.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about that real quick as what kind of events to play in.
Yeah. So I think the place to start typically, I'm currently on Wizards Event Locator and I can't get it to let me search.
Yeah.
So this is good. Oh. Here we go. It's listing them by like event.
Yeah.
So basically when a store wants to run an event, they have to go into some software and schedule their events in advance so it works in this Wizards Event Finder thing.
Yep. It also, like you mentioned, Wizards Event Reporter, it links with that also.
Yeah.
If they don't schedule an event, it won't be in the Event Reporter for them to run the event.
Yeah. So basically, I did this, and it listed events, and it showed you where the stores were on a map, and then you can just like now I have the names of the thing.
Yep.
So most stores are gonna run a Friday Night Magic.
Yeah.
That is most times going to be, depending on the store and how big it is, it might just be one format. It might just be standard, or it may just be draft, or it may be modern. So if you're not sure, if they don't like clearly say, just call or like message someone on Facebook and be like, hey, what format is your F&M?
Mm-hmm. I am going to say something real quick about draft.
Okay.
I tend to push like new players towards draft because it helps them build a collection that they can then use to construct decks out of. But I think we're a little bit jaded because our store always fires draft.
Yes.
Like more people show up for draft than most other formats usually.
Yeah, it's usually probably 12 to 30 people will draft, and we're usually trying to scrape together
enough people for a constructed
6 to 8
event
to make a constructed event happen.
That's not the norm, though. A lot of stores don't draft.
Yeah, a lot of stores it's more constructed.
Yeah.
I started out playing a lot of draft.
Yep.
You can tell when I started and I had a lot more time, I have a lot more Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch cards than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I drafted those formats like 3 times a week. I liked doing draft initially because when I started, I was like, well, I don't have any cards. Like, I had cards 15 years ago, but I don't have any cards.
Right.
And, like, I'm behind the 8 ball in terms of what I can play. Like, I have no idea what's going on. But, like, with draft, there's 100% skill to it, knowing what to do, right? But you are all starting card-wise at 0.
Right.
At the end, you were responsible for picking your cards. You didn't have to show up with cards. And then, like you said, over time, you will like put together a collection and be able to maybe have the starts of a standard deck.
Yeah, that is a nice part about draft, though, is you're building a deck out of the same pool as the guys on either side of you.
Yeah. Again, like people are going to be like better at it because they've had more practice or whatever. But like you can develop those skills. And a lot of the skills that you develop, like combat math and things like that, translate into
they're the same
standard and everything like that.
Yep. New sets always have like funky interactions too. Draft's a good way to learn those interactions. They can like help you down the road when you're trying to put a deck together.
Yeah. So there's the first thing. You got to figure out like where your like closest tournament is. And now if there are like 3 stores in your area, you can maybe shop around a little bit and go to a store, one event, and be like, I don't know, and try another store until you find like a store that's right for you. A lot of towns, I know Anthony's talked about this when he was out in California, and then here as well for a long time. We had a more there was a more competitive store and a more casual store.
Right.
And the players kind of like will self-sort into the people that are like gonna have fun and play like tier 2 standard decks. Yeah. And the people that are gonna be at the store playing the best possible standard deck because they've got a PTQ to go to on Saturday. Yeah. And they want to try like one more card, like a different card in their main deck. Yeah. Right. And a lot of times those will split. And like finding the store that's the right fit for you. Right. Like right? If you're like, I'm not super competitive about this, I just want to have fun, and you go into a store that's like
a bunch of grinders.
A bunch of grinders that are super spiky. They might not be unwelcoming, right? But like losing to 0-2
isn't fun.
4 matches in a row is not like super fun.
Yeah, it's not going to leave a good taste in your mouth,
right? So like you can like shop around for a store. So if there are multiple stores in your area, go around. Even before the FNM, like
I would suggest doing it before the event,
just to like go get the vibe and get the stuff that we're going to talk about here in a second.
Yeah, maybe ask some questions. Yeah, ask the store owner like what kind of people show up, what kind of decks are around, whatever.
Yeah. So before you go to play, so we found you a place to go, right? You spend as little time on Wizard side as possible when you found a place to go. Yep. All right. So now, what do we need to have before you go?
Accessories.
Yes.
Like we're not going to talk about your deck quite yet. We're going to talk about the stuff that you need. So we're going to talk about the stuff that you need like in paper to play the game versus the stuff that you would need to play digitally. Yes. So you're going to need dice for a couple different reasons. Dice used for tracking Planeswalker loyalty. Yeah. Use them for +1/+1 and -1/-1 counters on creatures. Yep. And sometimes you can use them to represent tokens. Yeah. Like the number of tokens.
Yeah. So, like, let's say you've made 6 goblins and you only have 1 goblin token. Yeah. You can just throw a 6 on top of your goblin token. Yeah. And be like, I got 6 of these.
If you plan on making a bunch of tokens, you probably don't need like 30. You can probably get away with like 3 maybe. 1 for tapped, 1 for untapped, and 1 for summoning sick. There's usually plenty to differentiate.
Like clearly represent what's going on.
Yeah. One thing that you should not use dice for, though, is keeping track of your life total. Yes. That should be done on pen and paper. That's the way that you're expected to keep track of your life at like larger, more competitive events. Yes. because you can go back and if there's any discrepancies, you can kind of figure out where the discrepancies are.
Yeah.
And you don't have any of that with dice.
Yeah, or if someone like bumps the table and your dice move, now you've lost track of.
Right.
Right now, if you're like play testing with a friend or whatever, like the spin down that they give you is fine.
Yep.
But like, I always have a notebook, and I just track each of my.
Yeah.
I just keep filling up like games in the notebook.
I try and play, like when I'm at the game store, I try and play with my spin downs, mainly because I feel like it's more welcoming to like other players. Whereas if I'm, taking notes the whole time in a notebook, like some people might find that off-putting.
Okay.
Like more casual players, I mean. So when we're at the game store, I try and play with the spin downs just to make me more approachable, I guess. But it is not a habit you should get into.
Yeah.
Because at some point you're going to want to play, I'm assuming at some point you're going to want to play competitively, and at that point you're going to need to be used to keeping track of your life total with pen and paper.
Yeah, even if like you're not like, I want to make the Pro Tour, but maybe there's a Saturday PTQ.
Right, or an IQ or whatever.
And you're just like, I don't have anything going on this Saturday. I'm going to play in this because I want to play Magic.
Right.
And so that's the way you have to keep track of it is pen and paper.
We also kind of glanced over something that I think we should talk a little bit about.
Okay.
And that's tokens.
Yes.
We talked about using dice to kind of represent tokens. You should make sure that you have a token to put a die on.
Yeah, so technically in the Magic rules, anything can be a token as long as you've agreed with your opponent that this pile of pre-chewed gum is going to be a goblin.
Or a pizza box.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
But ideally, Wizards has made tokens and they've stuck them in the packs. They are dirt cheap.
They are. Sometimes they're hard to find the correct ones, but they are always cheap.
Yeah, like inexpensive tokens like $1.
Right.
And you're like, damn, why is this token $1? And you're like, oh, it's for a mythic. Okay. Right. But for the most part, they're cheap.
Yeah.
Most stores will have them for you to buy for a nickel.
Or they'll just give them to you.
Or they'll give them to you.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you order cards, they just throw random tokens in. Like Channel Fireball throws in Andre Yamaguchi tokens.
that you can then get signed at your GP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just make sure you have your tokens. Like I was playing a deck that generated tokens or like Planeswalker emblems.
Yep.
I just had all the tokens I needed in my box.
Yep. It's important because you can actually get a game loss for not representing a board state clearly enough. So it's really important that you do everything you can, or make an effort at least, to cleanly and clearly represent what's going on in the battlefield.
And that's easiest to do with the actual tokens.
Correct. Yep.
So you're going to have your dice, you're going to have your pen and paper. You're going to hopefully, if you're going to make tokens, you're going to have tokens.
Yep. That token thing can go both ways also. As far as like representing your battlefield, like if your battlefield is a mess and you don't have the right tokens, not only might your opponent make a mistake because you're not representing what you have correctly, but you might make a mistake also.
And also, I have given my opponent tokens.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh, I'm making a wolf. And they're like, here's this not a wolf. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
here's a wolf.
Yeah.
Like for draft, I have all my lands. And then I just have like a bunch of tokens from that set.
Yep.
Just in a box. So when I draft, I always have like lands and sleeves, which we'll talk about in a second. And then tokens. And so I'll just be like, here, you need a wolf. Here's a wolf.
Here's a wolf.
Enjoy your wolf.
Yep.
It just makes things easier.
Yep.
All right. So if you haven't got this stuff, we'll do more. There's the playmat.
Yep.
When I first started, I was like, well, this seems dumb, but it's just nicer to play on.
They actually serve a purpose too. It is very much nicer to play on a playmat than on a table. Number one, because I have giant sausage fingers with like little to no fingernails, so it's hard for me to pick cards up off of the hard table.
Okay.
It's much easier to pick them up off of the squishy playmat.
Yes. And they keep your cards/sleeves clean.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to worry about like what mongrel had like spilled stuff or smeared all over the table beforehand.
Yep.
So the playmats are like, again, most stores will sell them. You can find them online if you just like search like Magic playmat or whatever. You'll get a bajillion different things.
Also, if you're new to a store and have kind of hit it off with one of the regulars, most people that have been playing for some amount of time have a stack of playmats at home.
I have like 10 to 20, and I've given a bunch away.
Yeah.
There's a few that I want to keep.
Yep.
But for the most part, like, we had some younger kids come in, and I just went and just grabbed a bunch of playmats from when going, like, top 8ing an IQ gave you a playmat.
Right.
Or when doing something else gave you a playmat. Or when you went to a GP, they just would give you a playmat.
Yeah, for a while they were giving away with pre-releases. Yeah,
you just got playmats for everything.
Yep. I know, like, a couple times I've, made a weekend out of going to somebody's house and, like, teaching them how to play Magic. And when I do that, I always bring extra sleeves, extra playmats, and just give them to them.
Yeah, so the playmat, like, getting a playmat, usually there's, like, a clear plastic tube you can get for, like, so a playmat's, like, $20 usually.
For a nice one, yeah.
For a nice one.
Yeah, you can get cheap ones less than that, but yeah.
For, like, a nice one, there's, like, $20.
Yep.
And then, like, you can get, like, a storage tube. That way you can just roll it up and slide in, and it fits, like, easily in your bag or in your hand to carry around.
Yep, they're a couple bucks.
Yeah, so, like, you have that. It just makes things easier. I forgot my playmat and just, like, played no playmat into top 8. Good job, me. And then the last thing we keep talking about is sleeves.
Yeah.
So it is very rare to see anyone play constructed Magic without their cards in sleeves. So the sleeves, again, serve a dual purpose. One, of keeping your cards nice.
Yeah.
So they're not sliding all over some grubby table.
Yeah. Magic's kind of a unique hobby in that you can kind of recoup some of your investment when you're done with it.
Yeah.
If you don't take care of your cards, you can't do that.
Yeah, so if, you're old like us and played with no sleeves, like, on the floor in the back hallway with cards that are now super expensive. They're all, like, scuffed up on the back and stuff. Most places will have sleeves. I usually buy Dragon Shields. I also buy
Dragon Shields.
Dragon Shield mats. A box of Dragon Shield mats is like $10.
Yeah, it's like 10 and change, yeah.
Yeah, $10 to $11. And it's well worth it. So you just take all your cards, and you want to make sure, one, that you buy a box, and you keep all those sleeves together.
Right.
So you're like, hey, I'm going to take these 100 sleeves, I'm going to sleeve up my deck in them, and I'm going to sleeve up my sideboard. I'm going to have 25 extra sleeves in case one of my sleeves breaks or a corner gets bent or something. So they protect your cards, and they also make it easier to shuffle. Like, way easier.
Yeah. They also serve another duty, and that's for uniformity. And that's kind of why you said you like to buy a pack of sleeves and then keep those sleeves together. For any sort of competitive play, there can be no doubt that you can't differentiate any cards in your deck from one another.
Yeah. And
sleeving your deck makes it so that any inconsistencies that are worn into the back of the cards you can't see. Like, a lot of times at draft, I know I don't really like sleeving when I'm playing draft, because, like, when I'm playing draft, I'm usually just playing for fun, and I kind of like, mangling the cards a little bit.
This is what you get for being drafted, card.
Yeah.
Let me throw you on the floor.
But a lot of times the lands will have been through like 4 or 5 drafts at that point.
And they're beat up.
And they're a little beat up. When you shuffle them next to new cards, you can kind of tell, like, when a land is coming, when like a regular card's coming. Sleeves prevent that, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Back to what Brian said about, like, keeping the boxes of sleeves together, is over time, the knives that cut the sleeves, like, into their shapes or whatever, they wear. So you'll have different cut lines on different batches of sleeves, where you can actually tell the sleeves apart. You can tell that they don't belong together.
You can feel, like, that cards that'll stick out because they're slightly bigger.
Yeah.
So if you just get, like, a box, and then, like, I have a Pioneer deck, bought sleeves for, sleeved it, and then I just wrote on the box, like, Godfarrow's Gift.
Yep.
And it's like, yep, these sleeves go with this. So if I, like, break a sleeve, I have those sleeves. If you're going to, like, a big event, like if you decide that you're going to go to a GP, right, I would just, like, get new sleeves right before the tournament.
Yep.
Maybe, like, earlier that week.
I like to play one event with a set of sleeves.
I was going to say, play, like, one event, because they're not super slidey, because when you first get your new sleeves and you sleeve your deck, it's always puffy.
Oh, yeah.
And they always slide. And so, like, that first game you play, like, they just,
your
like...
Your cards are all over the place.
Your opponent goes to cut your deck, and it just falls over.
You're trying to play Magic on an air hockey table.
Yeah. But you want to get, like, one event in and then keep that box of extra sleeves.
Yep.
So if you're shuffling and you break a sleeve, which will happen, or you, like, bend a corner, you can just throw that sleeve away and put in a new sleeve, and now everything's the same.
Yep.
And also, like, I saw something yesterday on Twitter where someone took a picture of someone's deck post-sideboarding. I think it might not have been quite post-sideboarding, but they had their main deck cards, the sleeves were all wavy.
Oh, because they've been playing in them.
And then the sideboard cards, the sleeves were flat, and you could look. And it looks like they just split the deck in half, stuck the sideboard cards in the middle. Because the middle, everything was perfectly straight.
Yeah.
And then all the other cards the tops were a little wavy.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is technically a marked deck.
Right.
Because, like, the sideboard cards would be easy to tell from the regular cards. Now, again, unless, like, you're dealing with terrible human beings at, like, an F&M, no one's going to, like, get you a game loss for that. They're be like, hey, man, get some better sleeves.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, and if you're at a store where someone tries to get you a game loss and no one tells them that they're an idiot, find a different store, because those are terrible humans.
Yes. If nobody sticks up for you at that point, the store is full of terrible humans. So
yeah. And the casual try-hard message to everyone is, just be a good person.
Yeah, just be a reasonable human being.
Be a reasonable human being. We're not asking a lot here.
So a little bit of backstory. When we first got this question on how to play Magic and work through a turn or whatever, that was kind of my response.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can fill an episode with this. My answer is just be a reasonable human being.
Yeah, but there is a whole episode, maybe more's worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing, so you've got your pen, your paper, your sleeves, your playmat. Another thing you're going to get, we haven't got the card, we haven't got you a deck yet.
Yeah.
The other thing you're going to get is you're going to get a DCI number. So that is how, the DCI number is how Big Wizards tracks you.
That's right.
So that is the number that you give to
register for an event.
Yep. It's how they put you in Wizards event recorder so that they can follow you, like, you know, that the tournament actually works. And then at the end, the store owner hits a submit button.
Yep.
And sends that event off to Wizards.
Yep.
And they track how you do. There's these things called Planeswalker points.
Right.
And you earn these for participating in events, for getting wins, for getting draws, and there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
If you go to if you just Google Planeswalker points,
it'll come up.
But when you get this DCI card, there's a thing it's got your number. First thing you should do is you should go into your phone.
100%.
And you should make a contact that is DCI number.
And it turns out your DCI number is 10 digits, just like a phone number.
So I have my card in my wallet, but I'm sure it is a ratty, nasty disaster.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think I have my card anymore.
But I have my number in my phone. So whenever it asks for my DCI number, I just go into my contacts and find DCI number.
Yep.
Right. On the back of that card, they're going to tell you how to register your DCI number. So you go to a website and you make an account and you put your name on your DCI number. What's fun about that is now when you go to that Planeswalker Points website, you can find your name. Like if you play a lot, you can find your name in your state. You can find your name if you play a whole lot, like in the country.
Yeah, it'll kind of rank you.
Yeah, so I think I'm like 13th or 14th in South Carolina, and you are 15th.
Yeah.
But you can see where you sit in your state, and the DCI number is going to be how, like, if you decide to go to a GP and you've played a lot, you can get a buy based on how many Planeswalker points you have. And that's the DCI number is the only way that you can, like, track your Planeswalker points. So your store, when they go to set it up, they're going to ask you, do you have a DCI number? And they're going to give you a card. Do what the card says on the back.
Yes, please register it.
Please register it, because, you know, I, like, even this PTQ, I went in and I played against person with a name, a blank, person with a name, a blank, person with a name, right? So if you don't go register, you just show up as, like, a null in, like, events and stuff. So go register it. It's beneficial for you.
Yep. It also helps the store out Wizards has kind of changed the way that they issue promos and allocate product to local game stores. And if you come in with the same number all the time, it helps them out. So,
okay.
Just a quick aside. You're doing your store a favor too.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
Now, we didn't say pen and paper. You can get that anywhere. Right?
Yeah, the other thing about pen and paper real quick, as opposed to like keeping track of your life with spin downs, is you can write yourself notes during a match too.
They have to remain public.
Right.
But like, let's say you cast Thought Erasure.
Right.
Right. On Arena, they just show you those cards.
And then they stay revealed.
Yeah. In paper,
they don't stay revealed.
You have to write them down.
Right.
Again, if you're dealing with a decent human, they'll be like, you want to write them down? Mm-hmm. Right. They'll give you time to write them down.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just write them down and then check off.
Yeah, like as they play them, you can cross them off or whatever.
So you know what cards are in their hand.
Yeah. So that's also kind of important too.
But like for your sleeves in your playmat, you can usually get those at the game store that you're planning to go to. Mm-hmm. So if it's your first time, right, and you have cards but no sleeves, go like 30 or 40 minutes early before the event if you can.
Yeah, I would try and show up a little early anyway.
Yeah. Or like go on Wednesday and like scout the place out and get your sleeves then and then sleeve your deck up at home. Mm-hmm. You can also order them online and stuff.
Yeah.
But, just be mindful like that you're going to want to do that and it takes time.
Yeah.
Especially like the first time you sleeve cards, like
you're fumbling around.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. Cutting your fingers up. And
so next is you should come with a deck if you're going to play Constructed.
Or show up with enough time to get the cards for the deck. If your tournament starts at 7 o'clock, you probably don't want to show up at 6:55 with a list of 20 cards you need to play in the event. That's kind of not a very nice thing to do to whoever's working the counter.
Because they're like registering a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Right,
they don't have time to stop and pull your order for you.
So if you've played exclusively like on Arena, if you decide like I want to go play on paper, if you're gonna order your cards online, we use TCG Player a lot.
Yep.
We told you about things before. Use TCG Direct.
Yeah.
I usually get my cards in under a week. I can order stuff on a Monday and usually get them on Friday. That's what happened with my last order.
Usually, if I get stuff TCG Direct, it's like 2 days. If I order Monday, I usually get it Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah. So you can order from TCG.
Yep.
Star City, Channel Fireball. Am I forgetting anyone? I guess
Card Hoarder.
Yeah.
Card Kingdom.
Card Kingdom.
Yeah.
Cape Fear Games if you're...
Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But order your cards in advance so that they have time to show up and that you're not like scrambling.
Yeah, like some of the real big places like Cape Fear, not Cape Fear.
Star
like
City?
Channel Fireball and Star City. They can take a little while. Like I've had orders from them like not show up till the following week.
Yeah.
So
and like Channel depending on where you are, like Channel Fireball's in California.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, even Star City though, like Star City's closer than
TCG
Player, and I've had Star City packages show up like a week after.
Yeah. So give yourself some like lead time because, right, you can play like there's nothing wrong with showing up and being like, oh, I've got like 50 of the 60 cards I really want, and I'm gonna fill in the last 10 slots with, But you'd feel better about yourself if you just had everything together.
I did that last night. I put together the Golgari Field deck. Mm-hmm. And I have pieces of that deck in like 4 other decks right now. So I threw some spice in there.
Yeah. So order your cards, or, if you're going to get them from the store, put in your order a day or two early. Most stores have a way to order cards online.
Yeah.
Not all stores.
Most stores do, though.
Most stores. So you could just order all those cards. If there's like a note to the vendor section, just be like, I'm going to need these for F&M. I'll be in at 6 or whatever, right? So then they know, like, okay, I got to have these cards set aside for 6 because this person's going to come in.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to get your deck list put together, hopefully, before you go into the store for your F&M.
Yep.
And like we said, if you're going to a GP, make sure you have your deck.
Yeah, that's super important. vendors at big events, not just the GP, like opens and stuff also, or regionals, or like any sort of larger event that has like outside vendors coming to set up and sell cards, they don't bring commons and uncommons. They don't bring bulk rares. They only bring cards they think they can sell.
They'll usually bring most of the playable cards from a new standard set, and like most of the playable standard cards.
Yeah. If it's a standard event.
If it's a standard
event.
Like
I've seen vendors show up to modern events with no standard cards.
So you can't be like, well, I need these like uncommons.
Right.
They're probably not going to be there.
Yeah.
And if they are, like we told you guys about at Magic Fest Richmond, they were charging a huge premium on those cards.
Yeah, guy spent $40 on 5 uncommons from Core 20.
Yeah, like it's insane.
Yeah.
Right? And he would have spent like $5 or $10
if you ordered them online.
But I think that is a product of how a lot of people play Magic now. A lot of people play Magic Online or play Arena, so they don't have the physical cards. They just buy their cards for the paper events they're going to.
Could be.
Right. So just make sure you have your cards. And again, like if you can't have all of your deck, have most of your deck and then actual cards to like fill out the rest. You know, like I really wish I had a Shifting Ceratops, but I guess I'll play a Ferocious Witch Stalker because it's 2 green.
Yeah.
And
plays a similar role.
Almost as big. Yep. But it would be way better if I had a Shifting Ceratops.
Right.
Or like, I wish I had a Questing Beast, but I'll take the but I'll take this Witch Stalker until I have a Questing Beast. And especially like when you're starting out, like not wanting to spend $80 on 4
Questing
Beasts for your deck is fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like especially like if you're like, I don't know if I'm going to like really like playing in paper or whatever, like, you know, doing it somewhat on a budget and then being like, no, I'm like really competitive. Like I really want to do like, then like paying that stuff. I heard it described on Gabby's stream as it's not pay to play, it's pay to compete.
That's true.
Right? You can play Magic. It's going to cost you money, but you can play Magic relatively cheaply.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like you can do a lot of places a draft is $10. You could show up every week and draft for $10, right? Or 15, right?
Yeah, I think going rate's about 15 now, but yeah.
Yeah, so $10 or $15 you could do a draft. That's like going to like a movie.
Right.
Right? Like that's not bad, right? But like standard decks, high tier standard decks are $300 or $400. Modern decks run to $2,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Legacy decks are a car.
Are a car.
Yeah.
Right? But you can do it relatively cheaply and then like work towards those other cards.
Yeah. If that's something you want to do. Like maybe you just like draft. Yeah. There's plenty of people that
just draft.
Also,
if you go to a place for a while, maybe like someone will be like, what are those Witch Stalkers supposed to be?
Yeah.
Or like you're like, oh yeah, like I don't have, like you play your Witch Stalker and you're like, yeah, I don't have a Questing Beast. And like maybe the next tournament they'll be like, here, you use my 4 Questing Beasts and give them back to me at the end of F&M.
Yep. I've done that for people.
Yeah, give them back. Don't be a scumbag.
Right.
But if you're listening to us, you're not a scumbag.
I mean, I've also showed up to F&M and like, you know, helped some newer players with their decks and bought cards off my store credit for them for their deck too.
Yeah, I've given people stuff out of my trade binder. I'm like, here you go. So there you go. We've gotten you a deck.
Do you want to talk real quick about like how to actually get a deck?
I mean, you follow me on Twitter, and I tell you about the decks.
There you go. That is the best places.
So there's Twitter. There's I curate like Arena Deck List podcast, like Twitter feed. There's an Arena Deck List Twitter account that Jerry Thompson, I think, retweets almost everything. There is some level of curation. Yeah. I do an additional layer of curation where I'm like, I've seen this deck 6 times.
Right. We don't need to see it
You've not
again.
done anything here. Yeah. I'm not retweeting this.
Right.
But if I see something that's like new or interesting, I'll tweet it. There's also, there's articles on Star City Games, on Channel Fireball.
Yeah, I heard Star City changed like this week or last week.
Is everything premium now?
I think everything is premium now. Which is awkward.
So, okay, less Star City.
Yeah.
Channel Fireball, everything's free.
Yep. MTG Goldfish.
MTG
is
Goldfish.
a great place to go for deck lists.
TCG Player has like an entire content side that I hardly ever interact with, but I found articles there.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the important things is that obviously it comes with time, but try and like figure out what kind of player you are and then find a pro that matches you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the pros are known for like a specific archetype or a kind of deck that they gravitate towards. And if you can kind of match yourself with one of them, now you have a default. Like if you don't know what to play for an event or if you don't know what to play for FNM, you can kind of default to like whatever they played last or whatever their latest article was.
Yeah, I mean, I have Matt Nass as a combo player.
Yep.
And I have just like jammed Matt Nass legacy decks and just been like, yep, I'm going to do this. It looks fun. It was fun. We're just going to do this.
Yep. Or
like
a whole bunch recently, you've said Strasky posted this deck. I'm going to play it because he's the man right now.
Yeah, and the decks have all been good.
Yeah.
So there's that. If you have just built something on Arena, there is a bit of a cautionary tale. Remember, Arena, especially if you're playing best of one, smooths out your draws.
Yeah.
And so on Arena, maybe you're playing some mono red deck that's playing 18 lands or 17 lands. That's not going to fly in paper. Right? So you need to be mindful of the fact that your deck needs to have the right number of lands in to work in paper because you don't get that like hand smoothing algorithm in real life.
And when in doubt, you should add a land.
Yeah, or two. The default for most decks is the standard is 24.
Right.
If you're a particularly aggressive deck, like really hyper aggressive, maybe you in standard can cut down to 22 or 21. In older formats, because the cards are even cheaper, you can go a little bit lower. And then like mid-range or control decks that really need to hit their land drops are going to play 25, 26.
Yeah, or more.
But yeah, your 24 is usually like the default.
Right.
And then
please don't show up with 22 lands in your deck.
Yeah, like you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Right. So just be mindful that Arena. Another way that Arena kind of holds your hand is it makes it so you are gonna have less games where you just draw like 6 spells in a land.
Yeah.
And you can't keep that hand.
Right.
So just be mindful. If you do just have a deck that you've built on Arena and you're like, I want to play this. Cool, do that, but make sure that you have the right number of lands. If you got a bunch of like 6 and 7 drops, you better have 26, 27 lands.
Yeah.
So.
Or your deck's not going to work.
Yeah, you're just not going to do anything.
Yep.
So like I said, we've got you now. You've got a deck.
You have a deck.
And a DCI number.
And
And accessories.
So
we're going to work on how to get you like
playing
Magic now.
Yep.
In a future episode.
That's right, not this week.
All right, next up, going back to the digital realm now.
Yeah.
Back into the Matrix. Back to Arena.
Very briefly. We don't have time to talk about with Arena this week.
So I think the combination of third version of Eldraine Standard.
Yeah.
Combined with the launch of Historic this week. I was the only person that put down any data.
I don't think I played Arena at all this week.
So we're not going to talk about what the metagame looks like. Well, I will say that blue-green deck that I talked about, Andre Schwartz, I just played all over
version 1.
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah.
It was just everywhere. So, again, that is the new hotness. And if it's good, it'll stay around. And if it's not, it'll be more new hotness in...
Yeah. Like, there can only be so many decks, though, right? If they keep banning decks out of this format.
Yeah.
Like, before we get a new set.
Yeah, like, there's only
We're going to run out of things to do.
This is true. They're not going to ban anything else. But just saying, like, if this deck's not good, it will, like, go away.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, we only have, like, 6 or 7 more weeks left with this standard format. So, that combined with the Historic launch, I think there's a lot of standard played. So... Historic, they did the launch. We already know our thoughts on some sweet historic cards. But I played the historic like best of one, get the card styles event.
Yeah. Is that over with now?
It might be over
I didn't
today or tomorrow. So it might already be gone. Yeah. I do not have the cards to go with the card styles, but I have the card styles. Yeah. The historic format, again, like standard to greatest hits. Mm-hmm. So the decks I saw were like a Gruul aggro list with a Burning Tree Emissary.
Okay.
Just the fact that it was free.
Yeah.
Like Land of War Elf into Burning Tree Gruul Spellbreaker on turn 2.
That's pretty good. Is
a solid start to any game.
That other Zerta Goblin or whatever gets better too at that point.
Zerta Goblin, when it gets to be like Pelt Collector into Burning Tree into Zerta.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And your Pelt Collector is a 3/3 at the end of it, and you've got 8 power on board.
Yep.
On turn 2.
Yep.
I played against the Soul Sisters list.
Okay.
Using both the cards from the historic set, the Soul Warden and Sarah Ascendant. Mm-hmm. I played a couple mirror matches with the Kethis deck. Mm-hmm. I was playing a build, I'm still not sure about like 8 slots. I was playing a build that was closer to like the modern or pioneer version.
Okay.
Where you're really leaning on the Emery interaction. So basically, you can, with a little bit of luck, if you have a Kethis, you can go turn 4, Kethis, have up a blue mana, and have it play a Mox, and win on the spot. Mm-hmm. Because if you have 2 Emerys and 2 Mox Ambers, you can go through your entire deck. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, you hit a Jace Wielder of Mysteries, and blue, cast it, and you've milled yourself out and you win the game.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. I saw versions that were more...
How bad is that to click through on Arena, though?
It's a lot of clicks. They have fixed the timer, though.
Yeah.
So when it was in Standard, I don't know if it was just more clicks, but when it was in Standard, you were always super in danger of roping. Yeah. And it felt like I had more time.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of clicks. So if you're like executing the loop, it's play a Mox, click on the one you want to keep.
Yeah.
Then play the Emery. If there's already one in play, click on the one you want to keep. Activate Kethis. Exile cards.
Rinse and repeat.
So it is a lot of clicks.
Yeah.
You can get relatively fast at it if you have like a Diligent Excavator out.
Yeah.
Like just like having to then target yourself adds like more clicks.
Yeah.
But it's doable. I didn't rope at all playing it. Mm-hmm. So I played like that version, and then there's one that's almost, I think, just the
old standard
version. The old standard version. It has Emery in it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they cut. There were some kind of garbage cards, but was playing like Tamios and Ashioks and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I played against like a mono black deck. What is that? I played against a Niv Mizzet deck, I think.
Okay. You think?
If I'm remembering correctly, like Niv Mizzet Reborn.
Okay.
Yeah, they just hit all their like multicolored spells. Like
I gotcha.
I was like, oh,
I thought you meant you beat him before you saw a Niv Mizzet.
No. I saw a Niv Mizzet.
Okay.
Chromatic Lantern things. Again, kind of like Pioneer, a lot of aggressive decks. Again, just because like the removal's not really good enough.
Yeah, I don't really want to pour a ton of resources into Historic right now. Because I think I would rather just play Pioneer, and until they start making strides towards that.
The only thing with like the deck I'm playing in Pioneer is close enough, to this that like it's not a total waste of time,
right?
And it's also just like the ladder climb stresses me out sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm just like I just want to play and like if I lose, no big deal, just go back in.
Not worried about
like going down. Yeah, last night I was playing and I like flooded out in the blue-green mirror. Yeah. And then when I went out, I was like, oh, that was the win that was going to put me in platinum. Now I'm
great
stuck in gold still.
Yeah.
It's like, But yeah, So it's fine. I think if you're interested in like paper Magic, like we've been talking about today, Historic is not a paper Magic format.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot of like it's worth like putting your time in there.
Right.
Unless like you're like me and like your Pioneer deck is Kethis and you're playing Kethis and it's like all the same cards.
Yeah.
Minus like 8 cards. Now those 8 cards are really important, but it's all the same deck.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh, okay, like I'm getting something out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't know what the special event is.
Yeah, I have no
going
idea.
forward.
Like I said, I really didn't have a whole lot of time to get on Arena this week, so I actually, right before you got here, I signed on and it told me I had to update my client. So I don't know whenever the last update was, but that was the last time I was on.
Oh, like Thursday?
Yeah.
Well, again, I'll get the data sheet up again, and we'll see if we're going to play some Standard. But this is like traditionally when Magic is like the slowest, right?
Yeah.
Like there's prep for Thanksgiving,
right?
Then there's Christmas, then there's a New Year's, then there's a new set. Right. So like after this Mythic Championship, which is happening next week, they've done a great job of advertising this event. So I'm like, it's next week, right? Yeah. Then no one's going to care about Standard. Standard's just going to go away.
Except for you, because GP Portland.
Yeah, I'm still maybe I kind of want to go, but we'll see.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money to change my flight. I wish I would have known about it before I booked my flight. All right. So there was one more thing that happened in Magic today. And that is the Secret Lair.
The Secret Lair.
So they've been teasing this for a little while.
Yeah.
And today they finally did it.
It's here.
So what is the Secret Lair?
It's $200 and you can buy it on December 2nd.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
This is what one would call a cash grab.
100% it's a cash grab.
Like there is $8 worth of stuff in these boxes and they're charging you $200.
Yeah.
So what it is this is depending on which person you saw do their like little unboxing today. It's a love letter from Wizards of the Coast to their fans and blah blah blah. Sure. So basically there are these small boxes.
Yeah, they look like a deck box almost.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if they're exactly deck box size, but that's what it looks like.
They said they can hold 2 sleeved commander decks.
Okay, cool.
That is how big they supposedly are.
Okay. Well, that's cool though. Like that's a good thing.
Yeah. Someone was like single sleeved. So yeah, we'll talk about double sleeving. That's an advanced.
Advanced sleeving technique.
Yeah, exactly. And so in this box comes a group of cards that fits a theme.
Yes. Not many cards.
Not many. So there are 7 themes.
Right.
And on the first day, December 2nd, you can, for a 24-hour period,
buy all 7 of them.
Buy all 7 of them.
For $200.
For $200.
Yep.
And then each subsequent day,
you get to buy one specific one.
For more than what the 7 would cost.
Ish. The Bitter Blossom one, the Rest in Peace one, and the Kaleidoscope one, the singles are worth more than what they're charging.
But like, if you were to buy them individually, like if you were to miss buying all 7 and then bought all 7 individually, you would end up spending more than buying all 7.
Yeah, it ends up like $30 or $40 more, I think, if you piecemeal them.
So there are 7 themes. There is Bitter Blossom Dreams, Eldraine Wonderland, Restless in Peace, Seeing Visions,
parentheses, explosion sounds.
Yeah. And then Kaleidoscope Killers and OMG Kitties.
Yeah.
All right. So each of these has, at most, 5 cards.
No.
5 pieces of cardboard.
Doesn't the Kittens one have 8?
Does Kitten ones have 8? Okay, I didn't like that one.
Yeah, I think the Kittens one has 8.
Most value for your buck there, and just in sheer number of cardboard.
Yeah.
So Bitter Blossom Dreams is the card Bitter Blossom with a new like full art treatment.
It's beautiful.
It is a very nice looking card.
It's pretty.
I do believe it is foil. I am not sure it is not foil.
That one is not foil.
Why?
I wrote down the ones that were foil. That one is not.
Why?
I don't know.
And then
it would look so good in foil.
And then it comes with 4 Fairy Rogue tokens.
Right.
Because Bitter Blossom is 1 in the black for a tribal enchantment fairy that each of your upkeeps, you lose a life and make a 1/1 fairy rogue token with flying.
Yep.
Right. So they gave you the Bitter Blossom.
Right.
Plus 4 tokens.
Right.
For $30 American.
Yeah, but Bitter Blossom's more than $30.
This is true.
And these are gorgeous.
It is very pretty.
And they go together as a panorama.
They do.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Then we have...
I like this one.
I can tell. You're like, don't say anything bad about it. Then we have Eldraine Wonderland.
This one you can make fun of all you want to.
It is 5 snow-covered lands that are foil.
Yes.
That are loosely set in Eldraine.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, I saw the plain and the mountain and the swamp, and like nothing about that. Their art made me go like, "This is Eldraine." I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a plain."
I think the forest had like a witch's hut or whatever.
Okay, I didn't see the forest. So that is 5 snow-covered lands, not full art.
Correct.
Foil, just like for $30.
Honestly, that's not a terrible deal either. Like if you look at foil snow-covered lands from anything, they're more than $6 a piece or whatever.
This is true. My foil full art swamps from Modern Horizons were like 10.
Yeah, and like they said that we are going to rip on this product a little bit, but they also said that like these cards aren't necessarily like competitive cards.
No,
they're stuff that they like see in commander decks and casual play and stuff like that. So this isn't meant for,
Yeah. There's Restless in Peace.
Yep.
Which is dredge stuff.
It is dredge stuff.
Should be right up my alley. There's a Golgari Thug, Life from the Loam, and Bloodghast. And they all look super cool.
They do all look super cool.
They're not foil.
They are not.
This one also is... So this is 3 cards, $30.
$30.
Seeing Visions.
This one's funny.
Is foil Serum Visions.
Yeah. It's 4 of them.
4 of them in 4 completely and totally different art styles.
Right.
One of them is like pixel art.
Yeah.
I mean, they look neat.
I believe these were the ones that the flavor text kind of told a story too.
Okay.
Like it had different flavor text on each one.
Yeah.
Strange though.
Yeah, $30 for that.
Yep.
Explosion Sounds.
Yep.
But it is it's on 12.
I'm pretty sure this one was $30 also.
Okay. And it comes with 5 classic goblins.
Yeah, they're all pieces of like legacy goblins. So it's Goblin Bushwhacker, Goblin Lackey, Goblin Pile Driver, Goblin King, and Goblin Sharpshooter.
I think 2 of them are legacy goblin staples, like Lackey and Sharpshooter.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Pile Driver,
Yeah.
Bushwhacker gets played in
8-whack.
8-whack in Modern, and Goblin King. It's just Goblin King from the Dark or something from a million years ago.
From Revised, man. Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised.
Goblin King was in that one?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the one from the Dark?
I don't know.
Okay, anyway. And then you've got Kaleidoscope Killers, which I guess because these are legends, they're more...
Well, these are expensive cards.
Okay, so it's...
And they're all in foil.
So it's foil for the Reaper King, the Ur-Dragon, and Sliver Overlord, which Sliver Overlord's the OG original one, right?
No, Sliver Overlord is the Time Spiral one, I think.
Okay.
I think. Sliver Queen was the OG one.
Okay. And this is $40.
Yeah. But like I said, these cards were expensive cards. And the foil versions of them were even more expensive. Like a foil Reaper King was like more than $40, I think.
Okay. And then you have OMG Kitties.
Yeah.
Which are 6 cats.
And 2 tokens.
And 2 tokens.
Yeah.
Lena Warleader, Kasali Slingers, which I have no idea what that card is.
I think that was a commander card.
Okay.
It's like anytime a cat enters a battlefield, you can blow up an enchantment or something.
Regal Caracal.
Yeah, I'm in cat also.
I'm in cat.
Arabo Roar of the Wild
Sure.
was a commander deck card. Miri Weatherlight Duelist, and it's just cats.
Yeah, they're just cats, and they've done them in like a cute art style.
Yeah.
The art is really neat.
Yeah, the art's cool.
This reminds me of the Throne of Eldraine like thing where you got like a fancy box, like part of an uncut sheet.
Oh yeah, what was that?
I don't remember what it was called.
It was expensive, right?
Yeah, it was like $300 or
Yeah.
something, right? I think the professor was like, "This is for whales.
Yeah.
This product
Yeah.
is for whales.
It's probably not for you.
It's, hey, you got a lot of money.
Yeah.
Buy this thing." I wish they were like all foil. I don't know why they did some in foil and some
I don't
not.
know, man. That Bitter Blossom would be so pretty in foil. I kind of want the Bitter Blossom.
Like,
Am I a terrible person if I order 4 of those?
no, you're a person who has $120.
Like, we were talking about this before the show, though. Like, this is going to be the floor for this kind of product, though.
Yeah, so
Like,
like
if there's something that you want, like, order it when it comes out, because that's the cheapest it'll ever be.
yeah, so the thing is their print to however many they order
On one day.
on one day
Yeah.
is what it seems to be.
Yeah.
If you want to order 4 of the Bitter Blossoms,
Yeah.
you've got to order it December 3rd
Right.
or it goes away.
Right.
Now, we'll see how go away it goes.
Oh, yeah? You think they'll come back?
They're going to do more in
Yeah.
2020. So, like, are they going to, like, they're going to run into the same problem they ran into with, like,
Master sets and From the Vaults?
yeah, where they, like, run out of things to, like, put in them,
Yeah.
right? Like, From the Vault Transformed had, like, 2 cards.
From the
and
Vault
then-
Transformed totally could have been this.
Yeah. But, like, you had
Yeah.
that, and then it was just, like there were, like, 2 or 3, like,
Yeah.
playable cards, and then it was, like, Argyle's Bloodfest, and it's like, this card's currently in Standard
Right.
and costs $3.
Yeah.
Why are we putting
It's
this in
the From the Vault.
Why is this in the From the Vault?
Yeah.
And, like, same with, like, Expedition / Masterpieces /
Whatever.
Invocations.
Yeah.
You run out of things to print.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, oh, like, you're super hyped for Bitter Blossom, but are you going to be, like, I don't know, hyped for, like, Secret Lair Shelldock Isle?
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, man.
Like, that's kind of the nice thing about doing the product this way, though, is I don't have to buy the Shelldock Isle. I only have to buy the Bitter Blossom.
True.
I don't have to buy the cats. I'm not going to play any of those cats ever.
Yeah, I mean, it is basically, if you can get it, it's like, I am buying 4 Bitter Blossoms.
Yeah. And like I said, Bitter Blossoms, more than $30. I looked
Yeah.
at them at the GP Richmond.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's also, like, Bloodcast Life from the Loam, Golgari Thug.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe?
Bloodgas is $20.
Bloodcast is $20 still?
I think so, yeah. Life from the Loam's $20.
Okay. So maybe you come out ahead there.
Yep.
Now, Serum Visions, no.
No, absolutely not.
No, like, you've got to really be in for this art.
Yeah.
Same
And
with
the art is kind of cool.
Yeah, same with the Goblins.
Yeah, that art's a little less than cool.
I thought it was cool.
It's funny. I wouldn't like pick that to be
yeah.
my
But
thing.
if you do that, then
Yeah. The art for the Restless in Peace one, that was really cool too. I don't know if you remember or not, but the guy that did these did a giant for Shadows over Earth for Eldritch Moon, I think. Did a giant Emrakul poster with like Lily and Gideon like looking.
I watched the Noxious video
Yeah.
of this where the guy also did like Iron Maiden album covers.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I saw what the cards were, and then he was like, Noxious was like, oh, we have him here with us. And I was like, stop. Like, I said, next one, I got to figure out what these cards are.
Do we have like an Eddie hiding in there?
I don't think. I didn't look
That'd be
close
awesome.
enough. Eddie's the skeleton from Iron Maiden.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
unofficial, official mascot, whatever.
Yeah.
One more thing that does come with these is they come with an arena code and an MTGO code.
To get, like, sleeves that reflect the art of the
Well,
cards.
for arena, yes.
Okay.
For Magic Online, it gives you the cards.
Okay.
these cards aren't on Arena, so they can only give you like sleeves or something else instead. But you are getting something for your digital client also.
Yeah.
Whichever one you prefer.
I am probably not going to buy any Secret Lairs, at least in this go-round.
Yeah, I really want some of those Bitter Blossoms.
That's fine. Live your life. I don't like...
Don't hold it over my head, all right?
I'm not going to... I don't like the one-day thing.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Like, making, like, false scarcity, because what is probably going to end up happening is there's going to be some groups of people that just buy a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then
they did say they're limiting them to 10 a person, or 10 an address.
Still.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bunch of people or groups of people that are going to buy them, and they're going to be on, like, eBay for $100.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they get shipped. And that, like, feeds into one of Magic's problems of just, like, being, like, super expensive. Now, again, you don't have to buy this version.
Right, yeah. You can buy the normal Goblin Kings for way less than a fifth of $30.
6.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You and your fancy maths.
Yeah, me and my division. I don't like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're a Commander player or something and, like, this is your jam.
Yep.
Right? I mean, for the most part, it is convenient that there's only one of them.
Right.
If you're a Constructed player, it's rather annoying.
Unless you really want the Serum Visions one.
Unless you want some mismatched Serum Visions. What you have to hope is that you have 3 friends.
Oh, yeah,
that
there you
each
go.
like a different art. And then you just all buy them and then you trade and you all end up with a play set of the art that you like.
Yeah.
Like, that is the key.
One of the things that I read online was somebody was comparing this to, like, From the Vault altars.
Okay.
So it's kind of, like you said, it's kind of like in the vein of a From the Vault. But instead of it being, Magic cards with poor foiling and, either the same or questionable artwork, some of the artwork on the From the Vaults hasn't been great. They're like altar artwork. They're not artwork that you would normally see in a Magic product. And a lot of times when people do get their altars done, they get like a play set done differently, like a play set of seasons or a play set of whatever. They get them all done differently. They're not always the same. So it kind of fits in that theme, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. And a lot of these cards are just EDH cards, so.
Yeah. So.
We'll see.
With that.
Yep.
If you are going to be buying a bunch of these and you get a bunch of Bitter Blossoms before James does, you can tweet us our pictures to mock him with at Casual Tripod.
Yep. You can send them to us on Facebook at Casual Tryhard MTG, or you can email them directly to me at show@casualtryhardmtg.com.
Or eel mail him, which you tie it to the back of an eel and you hope it swims to South Carolina.
Hey man, I did a lot of talking. My tongue is thick.
So we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll catch you at FNM. Now that you know how to get there.